Mr. Transformers 96 here. So in the video, I'm going to talk about some newly shown images of something I'm very excited about, which is the new Transformers Studio Series Devastator figure, all combined. Obviously, we've had looks of this character before, mainly just very early prototype stages of it, and then we've slowly received some of the figures in person and getting their kind of just their limbs themselves and being able to kind of mess with them and get to know that, and then some more figures that have been shown, and there are still two figures in this series that have yet to be shown, but they are here. However, they're very early on prototypes, considering their paint is completely different. They're using a kind of blue and purple color scheme with some grays, rather than, of course, the yellow and the reds that should be there for Scrapper and Overload. But yeah, overall, very excited to see what, or at least get an idea a little bit more of what the final product is going to be looking like. So we do have the shot of it on the right over here. We have a couple side shots of it, which I'll be talking about, and then here's just kind of some of the references of the things that we've seen before of it. It was shown, I'd say, over a year ago. I believe it was over a year ago at a toy convention or a Comic-Con, I can't remember, and that was our first kind of look at it, and then we've had kind of a rendering done right here, and now we do kind of have the official image. So yeah, so hopefully we'll get a better shot of this later on, with all the color, or the corrected coloring to it. But here it is, as you can see on the right. I will say, you might notice right off the bat that there's some issues just with how it's transformed. One thing that's strange, and I'm not quite sure why they did this, but the arms are actually swapped. Obviously, the Hightower slash scrap metal arm should be it should be his left arm, and then his right arm should be the Scraper arm, which they have correct in this prototype. But for the one that's just been shown, they have it reversed for some reason. At first, I thought maybe it was the picture had been flipped, but the legs are on the right positions, and then you can see on this little card that the words are all correct. They're not reversed. So the picture is not reversed. I'm not quite sure why they kind of switched the position of the arms here. It might have just been oversight or something a little bit more complex. But nonetheless, you will be able to put them on the right, on the correct side. So don't worry too much about that. It's interesting how they transformed him when it comes to the torso. I always assumed, and with some of the other figures, and I kind of expected that the top section of the torso was Scrapper slash, or not Scrapper, was Scavenger slash Demolisher. The same, the one that's coming out, the next leader figure, and then the bottom half was Overload. However, the way that they have it here, it's very interesting. The back and the shoulders are Scavenger, and then the front and the thighs are Overload. Very strange. I'm quite surprised with how the body actually connects. I think that's very odd, and just, again, something that I was not expecting. But that does appear to be the case. Some of the arms here, like we have this full arm that we can build. We also have the legs that we can build, so those are nothing too new. The head I did talk about recently. See if I can pull up a picture. Yeah, here we go. So here's a detailed look at what the head looks like from Mixmaster. And like I mentioned in the video that I was doing, let's delete that. In this video, you can see that it is actually quite accurate, which is quite nice, which leads me to believe that the robot mode itself would be quite accurate as well. Here's some of the side shots, and I will say that it is hard to tell what you're looking at because of such the weird colors that are being introduced here, from the two figures that have yet to been released, or that are in a very early prototype stage. But as you can see, his arm here, this is Scrapper. Again, very hard to kind of see what you're looking at. You can obviously see that a finger's here, and I believe a finger's up here, but it's definitely hard to tell where the fingers are. You can see a little better from this picture that, like, here's the thumb, I guess, and then, so you have kind of the thumbs here, which are the kind of scoop pieces, and then you have more of like a forklift type of a piece right there. I was always under the impression that his hand from Scrapper was just a bunch of these, like 3 of these. So I am surprised to see that you don't actually get a third one. I'm a little disappointed with that. I definitely would like to see that. However, I do, these fingers do look very accurate, so I do like that. And then the size of the arm does look pretty good too. Probably means that Scrapper's going to be a pretty nice sized Voyager figure, because that looks quite a bit bigger than the legs, and the legs are Voyagers. So I bet Scrapper's going to be a nice size, which is great. One thing that I find odd is that some of the paneling up here, it looks like some of the pieces for the head actually come from Overload instead of Mixmaster, which is odd. I definitely didn't expect that. However, it makes a little bit more sense because I was always pretty shocked that they could fit the entire head section for Devastator in that Mixmaster figure, considering he's such a skinny little figure, and there wasn't like a ton of places to hide it. So it does make sense that some of the extra paneling for the neck does come from Overload. I think it's quite smart that they did it that way, actually. I think it's very cool. As you can see, that his back does seem to protrude quite a bit, which... It looks odd in this image, but that's because they have him standing up like a person, which obviously in the G1 series he did, and everything like that. But in the movie he was crouched down. He kind of walked on all fours, similar to the position that they had him in the very early prototype stage in. So I'm hoping that it's not like he doesn't really have the capability to do that. I assume that he is able to crouch down and to presume some of the positions that are a little more natural to Devastator, but just in the way that they have him displayed at this convention, he's in a very awkward stance, which I think is really weird. But overall, I think that I do like the way it looks. My big complaint with it is actually the face. The face looks a little goofy, and it might just be the angle, it might just be the lighting, because the lighting's pretty poor, but the face does look a little goofy. However, when you look at it in person, or at least look at it in these close-up shots, it looks good, and when you compare it to the movie, it looks very accurate. So, although it looks a little odd here to me, I think that just might be the circumstances in which I'm looking at it at. I think that in person, I'll probably like it, or think it looks a little bit better. I will say that the head sculpt in the final product is extremely different from the head sculpt of the prototype. Like, that looks like a completely different sculpt. This looks a little bit more like the promotional material for Devastator, and kind of like the Supreme Devastator figure. It has a little bit more of that look, while this one is a little bit more movie accurate, which is great. I have to say that, just from this shot again, this face looks a lot better than this one, but if they're going for movie accuracy, and if it is truly movie accurate, which it does seem to be, then I'm very happy. So that I don't have any complaints as far as that's regard. As far as Scrapper and Overload, do we get any kind of hints at what they'll look like in robot modes? No, I can't see anything that I could pinpoint as oh, that's definitely going to be the leg, or oh, that's definitely going to be the head, or anything like that. I can't see any of the heads or anything. I assume that these fingers for Devastator will be the arms for Scrapper. He does kind of have those scooping pieces as hands, so I would imagine that that's going to be the case, or at least something very similar to it. And then as far as Overload, I can't see anything for Overload there. It's a lot of, I can see the pieces for the actual vehicle. I can see some tires. I can see kind of the walls, because I don't know, he kind of transforms into almost like a flatbed type of thing, but more of a construction flatbed one. So I can see the pieces for that, but I can't see anything when it comes to what he's going to look like in a robot mode, I will say. But overall, it's very exciting to just see more progress on Devastator. I haven't quite seen any other release like this, where we are getting something that you have to build, and it's not like you get a piece with a figure. The figure that you buy is the piece to build this thing, and we're getting them so slowly, and to see them so slowly is very interesting. It's something that I've never seen before, where we've already started building him, and yet we haven't even seen the final product, and there's still more to be seen as well. So overall, it's great to get an update on Devastator. I hope within the next couple months we'll get a fully painted, or correctly painted, update on him, and maybe something with with better posture in its pose. But nonetheless, it's very exciting to see Devastator at this convention since it's been so long since we've seen the prototype on the left. So it's great to get another progress shot of the figure himself. And overall, I think that it's looking quite nice. Again, like with the proper paint and with the proper positioning, I think this is going to look like an awesome figure. The way that they have him here, and obviously with the goofy blue paint, he looks odd. But in person, when it's all done, said and done, I think it's going to look really cool. One thing that's very strange that I will say is that they have like Hightower's head poking out and like looking up at Devastator. I don't know, the person who set this up, I don't think is great, but overall the figure itself is looking quite cool, and I'm extremely excited to receive a Scavenger as well as Mixmaster, and then I can't wait to see Scrapper and Overload, and then again can't wait to finally build Devastator all together. So far of the 4 that have been released, Hightower, Lawn Haul, Rampage, and Scrap Metal, I have them all, and I actually have duplicates of all of them because I do want to have a complete set of the Constructicons in robot mode as well as a fully formed Devastator. I couldn't choose between the 2 if I had to pick, to be honest. So it's quite a big investment, I will say. But overall, I think that it's kind of worth. I wonder how much it is to buy the entire Devastator. Give me one second.